Jim, can you let us know, as best you can, who's fit and available? How are the walking wounded?
Yeah, well, look, everybody's travelled with the group this morning. We've obviously got one or two long-term ones. The Ross Graham one has been well documented up to now. Unfortunately, Ryan Strain will be missing for the next 8 to 10 weeks, as will Trapanovsky. Picked up a hamstring injury in the last European game against Strassen. So those three are out long-term, and then the likes of Namo and Fata and guys like that will take part in the session tonight, and then a decision will be made on those tomorrow.
What was the nature of Ryan Strain's injury?
It's hamstring related as well. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any chance of any new faces before tomorrow night?
No, there's not. The group we've travelled with today will be the group that's available to us tomorrow night. So we're light on numbers. That was evident for everybody. Looking at the squad in Sunday's fixture, we had a number of the academy guys come up into the squad. But we're hopeful that between now and the next fortnight that we'll be able to add another couple of new faces.
I was going to say, does the departure of Jort van der Sande accelerate the need for those arrivals, particularly in the final third?
Well, look, we've got three really good strikers in the building at the moment in Waters, Sapsford and Sturton. We do want to add another one in that area, but we're not desperate. We have there are ongoing conversations with players at the moment, as you would expect. But I'm delighted that Max Waters and Zach Sapsford have been able to get off the mark this early on in the campaign. It's always important for your strikers to get up and running, and those two certainly have. And Owen Sturton, he's came back in fantastic condition this pre-season. I think he's played in all three of the competitive games. He's already now had 2 appearances in European competition. Came on for the last half an hour against Falkirk in the league game at Sunday. So he's one that we've got real high hopes for. So in the forward areas, I think we're okay. I think the issue that we have at the moment is the likes of Namo, Fata, Trapanovsky in the wide areas is where we're a little bit light.
When you were considering your recruitment, was not blocking a pathway for someone like Owen Sturton a priority for you?
Yes, absolutely, and that's why Sam Harding is going to be such an important player for us as well. At every club I've been at, I've always had one eye on the academy, and I tried to get to as many games as possible. And if I'm not at the games, then I'm watching the recordings of them. Owen Sturton's been with the group now for pretty much since I've been at the club. I saw something in him at 16 when he came in from the Blair Dragon Academy. And over the last couple of seasons, his development has been quite remarkable. And Sam Harding, played a real key role for us at the tail end of last season. Had 4 appearances and scored a really important goal for us as well during that period. So the academy is always something that we're really keeping an eye on, and those players know my thoughts on them and where they fit into the group this season, and we'll continue to work on them, continue to try and develop them, and all the time look to try and get them valuable minutes in the competitive games.
Jim, a week ago the focus seemed to be on 11 foreigners in the team and everything. You brought one Scottish guy in from the start last week, which was pretty important in the game. How key has Craig Sibbald become to this team squad, both as a player and as a sort of homegrown talent, if you like, introducing the guys coming in and being a bit of a quiet leader? I guess he's not the loudest, is he? But
yeah, look, Sibbs is a very quiet personality. He goes about his business in a really unremarkable fashion, if you like, but he knows he knows his role within the squad and how important a player he is for me. And in that promotion push from the Championship, he was arguably our most consistent player over the season. I think he picked up 1 or 2 Player of the Year awards as well during that, and obviously earned a new contract at the club. And with his performance again on Sunday, I think you can see how influential he is in the team. There's a lot obviously been made about the signings that we've made and the European players that have came in, but the Scottish players are hugely important to us as well. Ross Graham's our club captain. Owen Sturton, as I said, has played 3 competitive games up to now. Sam Harding is a young Scottish academy graduate. So that's they're good enough, they'll play. It's as simple as that. And Craig Sibbald certainly played a really important role on Sunday.
Jim, can you give us a bit of an overview on expect tomorrow night?
Well, you can see here, with the facility here, the stadium, the infrastructure, it's a big club, a really well-run looking professional outfit. Went really far in this competition last season, obviously getting to the quarterfinals. They've done some really good business in the transfer window already as well. They spent a considerable amount of money in the forward areas. And, we know it's going to be a difficult tie. Last tie against Strassen for us, we were probably the favourites in a lot of people's eyes, albeit Strassen made life difficult for us. I would imagine tomorrow night will probably be the underdogs going into the game, but we have a lot of belief and a lot of confidence in this group. We know where we're at in terms of the restrictions in the squad with the injuries that we have, but that's no excuse. We want to make sure we give a really good account of ourselves. Away from home in Europe, it's always difficult. We know that. We know that there'll be a really good atmosphere generated by both sets of supporters. There'll be a really good travelling support from Dundee again, like there was last week in Luxembourg. And we want to put on a good show. We want to show ourselves in a good light. We want to show people that the teams from the Scottish Premiership are of a good standard, and we want to make sure that we're still in the tie come the return leg in Tannadice.
Are you somebody who looks back at the history books, and if you look back at the 1984 game that United played against Rapid?
Yeah, I'm well aware of the history of that particular fixture, and obviously the history of Dundee United as a whole and how successful the club was back in those days. But we're nearly 40 years on now. It's not something that we spend too much time looking at. It's the same as last season. We got lots of pats on the back and lots of plaudits for our performances last season, which have earned us the right to be here in Vienna. Looking forward to a huge game tomorrow evening. But last season doesn't matter either, as far as I'm concerned. It's in the past. It's all about what we do now in the present, and we've got an opportunity to go and put on a good performance against a really good team, and hopefully over the two legs do enough to progress.
And have you been to Vienna before?
Yes, I have been to Vienna before. Yes, 20 years ago, would you believe? I think it was 2000 actually, 2001, so even more, 23 or 24 years ago. I was over here when Lothar Matthäus was the manager. I won't go into it in too much detail, but I did play head tennis with Mr. Matthäus outside, and that was my one and only trip to Vienna before now. So yeah, that's one for the books.
How was the head tennis match?
Head tennis was good.
Yeah.
But he's one of my heroes growing up. 1990 World Cup winning captain for West Germany, and it's quite a surreal moment meeting him here in Vienna while he was managing Rapid Vienna. But I don't think, unfortunately, Rapid done too well at that particular moment in time, and Mr. Matthäus lost his job not long after.
Did you win at the head tennis, or did you have a bit too much for you?
I can't remember what the score was.
Yeah, was that just a complete, I don't know, maybe you can't go into it, but was it a complete chance meeting with him, or did you come over?
No, I played a game against Austria for the Republic of Ireland under 21s, and I was leaving Celtic at the time, and I managed to play particularly well in the game against Austria, and I had an invite from Rapid Vienna and Salzburg to come and have a look around at the stadium and the training facility. And as I said, Lothar Matthäus was the manager here at the time, so I came over to speak to them and discuss things. But as I said, it didn't pan out how I would have liked at the time, because Matthäus lost his job not long after my visit.
Where did you go after that, Jim?
Nice, Scott, nice. I think I actually extended my contract at Celtic for one more year. And then obviously left the following year for Stockport County.
Let's see, in terms of your managerial career, Jim, you've obviously done well, but this game maybe the pinnacle so far?
Look, in terms of me as a manager, I suppose I'm still relatively young at 43, but I have been a manager now for 10 seasons, so I feel I've got good enough experience over the last decade to to be able to go and challenge and go and compete at this level. But certainly, when I was a player, I never had the opportunity to compete on a European front. Done it plenty of times, as I said, with the international setup at underage levels, but it's my first time as manager competing at this level. It's it's great to go and test yourself against some really tough opposition, some really intelligent coaches that have got a different style and different philosophies, and yeah, it's always an experience to see how you cope in these situations. You know, this will be a really hostile venue for us tomorrow night. The expectation, I believe, is on Rapid Vienna. But as I said, we've got confidence in ourselves as a group, and you know, hopefully, you know, it'll all play out the way that we want tomorrow night.
Is that something you can take advantage of? It's a young Rapid Vienna side. It's a side that didn't perform as they would have wanted domestically last season. Can you take advantage of that pressure that's on them?
Well, look, I mean, obviously we have to make sure a lot of things fall into place for us tomorrow evening. You know, it'll be pretty much the same group of players that played on Sunday against Falkirk that will be available to us tomorrow night, given the injuries that we have to deal with. But it's you know, it's exciting for the group to come to a venue like this against a really good team. You know, I think Rapid Vienna are, yes, they're quite a young team, but they've got lots of energy, lots of pace. I think you know, they've done some really good business in the transfer window, spent a considerable amount of money in terms of you know, what we would consider, you know, large sums on players. The front four are a real handful. You know, two very physical and athletic strikers. The wingers really quick and tricky, and you know, like to put defenders on the back foot, very positive and very direct. So you know, there's a lot of things that we have to get right on the night. You know, defensively we have to be disciplined, we have to be organised. When we get the opportunity to play, we have to show composure and bravery away from home in a difficult environment. You have to be courageous on the ball, which I believe our players are. And you know, I think we've got players in the wide areas and in the front areas for us that can cause Rapid Vienna some problems. So I hope it all plays out to be a really exciting and entertaining game of football. And obviously, you know, I hope us as Dundee United come out on top.